Hello again. So, as we move on to discussing Dan Peterson, I want to pose a question for you. So, let's say somebody in our conference had a concern with you, and they raised those concerns to the powers that be that have something to do, that have the ability to discern what should be done with respect to standing in the four C's. So, if somebody brought concerns or charges against you, our Constitution requires that those concerns are put in writing. Our Constitution requires a thorough investigation. Our Constitution requires certain rights of appeal. And above all, our Constitution requires adherence to biblical principles in this process. I'll be direct. In all four of those areas, Dan Peterson, in his capacity as the chairman of the Credentials Committee, has failed on multiple occasions, unrepentantly, despite people flagging concerns. And that's a serious concern because he actually is planning on continuing in leadership. And I know he wouldn't want to be treated the way that he has treated multiple people who about whom concerns were raised in a covert way. I know that people would not want processes to be subsumed for expediency. Actually, they could be consumed too. Freudian slip there. So I have deep concerns about Dan adhering to his stated position as described in the Constitution, and those are in the Four Cs Constitution, and those are detailed a little bit more in the letter. I also want to tease out something that is not stated in the Constitution. So Dan agreed in some capacity to provide accountability to Ron as he sought some sort of path forward for Park Street Church. And kind of similarly, in a similar way to the scenario that I mentioned, he absolutely failed to do so, and essentially took Ron at his word. And by the way, I do not think that Ron's word is bad. I do not. I'm not accusing Ron of deceit. I'm not accusing Ron of lying. I think that, I mean, personally for me, I think Ron is being deceived artfully and skillfully. And so part of that, part of the processes for the four C's and part of Ron seeking accountability, I think is a good thing because it's supposed to be a guardrail and for people to ask deeper questions, review evidence that was submitted to Ron and summarized for the Credentials Committee to actually provide a sounding board and ask deeper questions and provide a different perspective. That is patently what has occurred. I would argue probably at all, but certainly not to an extent that is becoming of somebody in Dan's position. So yeah, that's basically it for discussing Dan's particular case. I just hope that we can work together towards establishing guardrails for the future, for the Credentials Committee, for how we walk through challenging times and complex situations, and that we can build an institution that is able to uh, have checks and balances that such that somebody in Dan's position or somebody in Ron's position, there's just clear levels and at all levels, there's clear capacity for appeal, clear pathways for appeal, clear um, a very clear institutional processes that are fair and biblical, and to which our leaders are held to that standard. That has not been the case, as evidenced in the last year and change, and needs to change. So, it Dan's behavior is one thing, um, and that should be repented of and corrected. And also at the same time, we're all fallible, we're all imperfect, and we have a responsibility as a body to build a more resilient institution in some way. I don't have prescriptions for that, but I do think that um, two buddies down the street in Minnesota whispering in each other's ear for expediency's sake is a weak point in our system, and should be changed. So that's uh, that's I'll leave it there, and the letter should speak for itself.